heads up at Bolton Access. The screen is actually broken in the room, so we can't see her, but she can see us. So, I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Nashoba Regional School Committee at 6:02 p.m. on April 8th, 2026. So if you would like, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody. Do you want to wait it?
Yeah, I just have one thing to say.
All right, so if there's no objection from the committee, we're actually going to move the student representative report to ahead of executive session so we don't keep Maria here all night. So, hi Maria, thanks for joining us. What can you share with us?
So actually, my report is only one thing. It's unfortunately is not long. It's just that Nashoba Sings is happening tonight right now, and I'm actually on my way there once I'm here. But hopefully in the future meetings, we're planning a lot of things right now, but they still need to be approved and go through the normal process of them. But hopefully in the next meeting I can bring a lot more things for you guys, and I'm so sorry that I can't today.
That's okay. We appreciate you being here. Can you tell us what Nashoba Sings is for anybody who doesn't know?
Okay, so now you put me in the spot because I have no idea. Yeah, all my majority of our friends do choir, so I was just gonna pop by and see what's going on.
So you'll give a summary report next month.
Next week I can come and tell you everything about it. But what I think it is that I think all the kids in the district go to Nashoba and perform something together. That's what I'm guessing it is, or that's what I kind of picked up from my friends talking about it. So, but yeah, I guess next week we'll know if that's true or not. I'm on my way.
Do you guys have any questions for Maria or the student representatives generally that she can add to her list for next time? Also?
Sorry, I was just thinking, when will the new person be selected for next year?
Okay, so that was a talk that me and Dr. B started, but we wanted to, and also the superintendent, we wanted to, would you mention you wanted to do the elections this spring? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Mr. Kaiser said they can work out elections this spring, so Maria at the June meeting can introduce, she will be the rising senior, she can introduce the rising junior to the committee in June.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do it this year. Because normally we do it in the fall of the next school year, but...
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you back with us next year, Maria. We are sad to see Ryan go, but new faces are good as well. All right, guys, that'll do it for the student representative report. So thanks again, Maria. Have fun at Nashoba Sings.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so going back to the regular order of our agenda, we are going to move into executive session, and I believe Amy has a motion.
I move to enter into executive session at 6:05 p.m. pursuant to M.G.L. Chapter 38, Section 21A3 to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Nashoba Regional Education Association versus Nashoba Regional School District, MUP-25-11771. Further moved pursuant to M.G.L. Chapter 38, Section 21A3 to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Nashoba Regional Education Association, Unit C. Session to include the school committee, Superintendent Downing, Director of Human Resources, Jessica Murdoch, Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, Ross Mulcairn, and District Legal Counsel, Mike McCarroll. Committee will reconvene to open session at the conclusion of executive session.
And the chair does so declare. Do I have a second? Second. Thanks, Jeff. Any discussion on the motion? All right, let's do the roll call out loud. Matt?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Chandra?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Sharon?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
All right, everybody, we're in executive.
I brought some observers. And new learning experience for them,
elements on the agenda. I am going to kind of march through the agenda as we go here. I don't think it'll take too long, but it's not. But first on our agenda, or next on our agenda, I should say, is public comment. So is there anybody here for public comment? Yes, just please come right to the table and you can tell us who you are and where you hail from. Thank you. And yes. So typically, public comment is 3 minutes per speaker, 15 minutes total, but please feel free to introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pam Dean. I'm a resident of the town of Bolton. Thank you for having me here tonight. As you're all aware, special education is the single largest expense category for the district. As with many of you, I found it mind-boggling to see our district's special education transportation costs skyrocket over 500% in 3 years. The cost going from $275,000 in 24 to $1.6 million in 26. While recognizing every district is facing these burdensome cost increases, it doesn't relieve any of us from the responsibility of getting into the weeds to identify and implement every reasonable cost savings measure available to us without compromising the quality of our education. Having said that, I commend the district on rolling up their sleeve this year and working through a plan to bring sped transportation management in-house. And as they've stated, this change should reduce our costs year over year for the district. As such, it's important for the public and the parents utilizing these needed services to have access to any written analysis which the district put together in completing their due diligence and support of bringing these services in-house. I asked the committee and the district to make this document available on the website. The 2027 Special Ed Trans budget indicates a year-over-year reduction in net costs. In actuality, the gross costs of sped transportation are increasing year over year when adjusted for the grant and circuit breaker funds. For clarity and transparency for everyone, year-over-year gross costs and funding credits should be disclosed separately. Regarding the 2026 special ed expenditures, It was concerning to see a footnote in the February 2026 monthly operating report indicating $450,000 in over-budget special education expenses. No further details were provided, noting the reason for the cost overrun. Yes, it was being covered by circuit breaker, it was noted, but I have no idea where the circuit breaker funds were found. Could this expense be related to what might have been a settlement with Van Pool over 8 Assabet Valley's litigation in 2025? If so, it's important to disclose that, and it's important to understand the accounting methodology for reporting this as a current year special education expense. It's also important for the public to understand why each of the monthly budget reports indicate over 85% of special education's annual budget under the expended and encumbered category, something which has been reported that way since the beginning of the fiscal year. There are no footnote explanations for this either. In conclusion, I ask the Budget and Warrants Committee to record their monthly meetings on a go-forward basis, to allow the public access to critical discussions and decisions. The school district represents over 65% of our town's budget. While dialing into the Budget and Warrant Committee meetings is not always possible, having the availability of the meeting replays would be of great value. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments present? All right, seeing none, we're going to move the agenda to the next item, and that is the consent agenda. I'll turn to Amy for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda of April 8th, 2026.
I'll second that. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I just have a question about the revised calendar.
Please.
What is the revision?
Oh. Do you remember the revision to the calendar that we made?
It was a miscounting.
Yeah.
We had 181 days on the calendar, and we had to make it 180, so it took a day off. So nothing of substance, just a correct date.
Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right. I did. All right, guys, so that's the consent agenda. Thank you for that. The next item here is, well, we've already heard from the student representatives before executive session, so we're going to move to the superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Kirk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. We have a very special evening for you today. I'm going to introduce Dr. Bolton in just a moment to introduce our special guest. But I do want to take a moment to recognize Derbil Nagel. We had a chance to enjoy a nice lunch together at the Worcester County Superintendent's Association luncheon, as each school district in Worcester County brings forward their representative students to honor the hard work and service that they have given to their community and in the classroom. So Derbil on that day reminded me that on my very first year as superintendent here in Nashoba, 8th grade race to the presidency, I was big oil in the race to the presidency, and I did throw my 5 electoral votes behind her, and you ultimately won that election. Well done. So that being said, I would like to, at this point, turn it over to Dr. Boynton to introduce the 2 students who we are honoring tonight.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Downing and School Committee. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. So I'm going to have my 2 fantastic students come stand. We're surrounded by family as well, which is lovely. Pardon my readers. So these are write-ups from each of their counselors. So Dervla, this was written by Mr. Glover. Dervla has been an amazing part of the Nashoba community the past 3.5 years. Reliable, extremely hardworking, focused, happy, kind, thoughtful, and driven all accurately describe her. She traveled through Nashoba, taking the most rigorous course load available while receiving all A's, all while being part of the Best Buddies Club, DECA, and National Honor Society. Having had a pretty atypical upbringing, her childhood has enabled her to develop a very unique life's vantage point. Her family bought goats when she was in first grade, 2 young little Alpines. Over the 10 years they owned goats, they had over 60 in total. She would wake up before school for all those years and milk her goats daily. Dervla was also captain on the girls' varsity cross-country team this past fall, a member on the Senior Leadership Council for the girls' indoor varsity track team this past winter, and as a member of the Senior Leadership Council for girls' outdoor varsity track team this spring. She has led by example as well as by word, and has developed an extremely well-balanced approach to all areas of her life. Dervla Nagel. Olivia Edmond, written by her counselor, Sarah Dodd. Olivia is not just exceptional in one area, she stands out across all of them: academics, leadership, initiative, and character. Yet even with these impressive accomplishments, what truly distinguishes Olivia is the way she carries herself, with quiet focus, genuine intention, and kindness towards others. Olivia's level of initiative and academic self-discipline is rare. Throughout her time at Nashoba, she has consistently sought out the most rigorous path available, pursuing her passion for mathematics by taking pre-calculus as a sophomore and advancing to AP Calculus BC as a junior. She always approaches her responsibilities with a thoughtful plan while still maintaining balance across a full range of commitments. Her commitments extend far beyond the classroom. As a nationally certified EMT and a crew chief within our EMT program, she has demonstrated maturity, responsibility, and composure under pressure. At the same time, Olivia manages social media accounts for the girls' soccer team, EMT cadets, and DECA, using those platforms to build pride and connection among students. While Olivia has held formal leadership roles, including Chief Marketing Officer for DECA, what stands out most is that she never relies on a title to lead. Her leadership is evident through her reliability, thoughtful contributions, and confidence that encourages those around her to step forward as well. Olivia Edmond, our salutatorian.
Thank you so much for that, Principal Boynton.
For you guys, let's go.
Excuse me for just a moment. Madam Chair.
These wonderful gifts are for you. Thank you. Small token. Thank you so much. Okay.
And of course, a picture.
Certificates.
Yes.
Over here? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
This is the part that won't eventually go away. So what we have here, my friends, are certificates that I'm now popping out. Sorry, Alita. This one is for Olivia. Thank you. And this one is for you.
And Dervla, this is your certificate to be the Worcester County Scholar on behalf of Nashoba. So congratulations.
And there, maybe we can stand right here. Yep.
Family.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to get family no matter what.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. So us first and then family?
Great, thank you. Congratulations.
Not family members?
Oh, please.
Yeah, we have to get a photo with the superintendent, maybe?
And Ms. Masterson will make sure that we get you guys in the common this week as well.
I'm going to go over here to balance it out a little bit.
I'm going to try to make it smaller.
Just the two girls.
Thank you all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes.
All right, guys, one more round of applause for our actors.
Thank you. Everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Great job.
Thank you for hosting us.
All right.
Great.
It's so great when, like, you know them when they're young, and then all of a sudden. Okay, so everybody, we're going to keep moving the agenda. The next item here is the Luther Burbank Middle School Washington, D.C. trip final approval.
Yep, it's just to say that we promised that prior to going on our trips, we would be bringing that information forward. So it was in the consent agenda today to show that we've closed the loop on our chaperones for the trip. So. Next, I would like to bring forward Assistant Superintendent Mulcairn to give us a capital submittal update. Assistant Superintendent.
Yeah, I wish we could call it capital submittal good news. So thank you, Superintendent Downing, and thank you to the school committee for the opportunity to update you. An informal goal we set through the capital process this year was to keep the school committee more informed and more involved in the capital process. So thank you to Representative Viverito, Palema, and Reinhardt on their support and visits as we did our capital walks. What you see in front of you is what was submitted this year for capital to each of the towns. As you can see, we have a significant amount on the town meeting warrants. So a couple of things of note, just a side note on Bolton. This is good news. We would have loved to have all the doors, but to start with Sawyer is really important from a safety standpoint with regards to those. The town is actually helping us along a little bit by they've submitted a fair share earmark to do some paving of the Sawyer lot and driveway, which takes that off of future capital. So while not directly impacting Bolton voters, it would be a very good earmark to receive within the town that would then be a benefit to the district as well, of course. In Lancaster, big support here. You may recall that the fire suppression replacement actually came in significantly over cost because of the size of it once it was evaluated. So the fact that they're looking to support that moving forward is really important. Just one final note in Stowe, you'll see that the scoreboards are on there. Alita, could you just scroll down a little bit? I think my initial cut and paste was off a little bit, but I think I should correct it. Yep, so the Hale scoreboard is on the town meeting warrant. So those of you familiar with Stowe's capital, the Stowe Capital Planning Committee submitted all except for the Hale scoreboard, even though it will still be on. So when they give their status update before the article, they're saying that that's just the only one that they did not support. But you can see significant support on their behalf for the remaining articles. So this is very good news. Thank you to our town partners and thank you to the school committee for support, and hope to see you on the town floor coming up next month.
Great, thank you so much. And we did confirm that the town meetings are on different dates, right? All three are on different dates this year.
Yeah, we looked at Lancaster actually is a week later than we had initially.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So the date is wrong.
So that would be 5/11/26, correct?
I think
Yep.
so. So anyway, guys, town meetings are important. These things will be on the town warrant, separate from the school budget. All right, keeping it going.
Keeping it going. We have some special guests here tonight. Rich Odell, Managing Director, and Andrew Williams, Head of Schools of the Masters Academy International. I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Friend to just give an introduction of what you're going to hear about tonight as just sort of a precursor to the presentation they will be giving.
Great, thank you, Superintendent Downing, and thank you to the committee this evening for allowing Mr. Odell and Mr. Williams to join us this evening to provide an overview and presentation of a new private school seeking approval to operate within the geographic boundaries of the Nashoba Regional School District. So they will provide a presentation this evening for your consideration. Superintendent Downing will provide his recommendation to the school committee following their presentation, and then the committee will take it under and consider the school committee Superintendent Downing's recommendation and the presentation, and move on that at the next meeting. And included in the superintendent's report is just some guidelines around the M.G.L. Chapter 76, Section 1. Under that statute, approval is granted when the school committee has satisfied that, and we've included the language here for the purposes of this section. School committee shall approve a private school when satisfied that the instruction in all the studies required by law equals in thoroughness and efficiency and in the progress made therein that in the public schools in the same town, but shall not withhold such approval on account of any religious teaching, and we've included the citation there for chapter 76. So I don't know if, we defer to the chair, if he would like to hold on the presentation and move forward with strategic work.
Why don't you go ahead and just describe Pavia Path for a moment, and then we'll come to our presentation.
So if you could scroll down just a bit. I think during the last school committee meeting, I had provided an update. We were very excited about our full day of professional development on March 27th. So I'm here to share an update, and I'd like to thank Mr. Simon for joining us in the learning for that day. It was great to have his presence and his support and his feedback throughout the day. So thank you to Mr. Simon. Overall, we had a great day during our full day of professional learning. As you know, we started the day with a keynote. Dr. Tony Frontier, he spoke to our community about shifting focus from AI really as a tool for, as a shortcut to learning, but really as a tool for deeper learning, emphasizing that effective teaching means prioritizing students' thinking, and he focused on process over product. That really was a through line for his presentation. He gave some pretty powerful anecdotes and analogies. I was impressed by his presentation, and that his core message was less so about AI and the tools, but more so about what we know about teaching and learning, and that is to support student thinking and process over product. And the message landed well with our faculty and staff. Feedback from the keynote was positive. Following the keynote, we enabled our educators to choose from 30 breakout sessions. Sessions included sessions focused on AI literacy, hands-on tool exploration. We also had a student panel which presented, engaged with Dr. Frontier and facilitated student panel roundtable really, and they shared their feedback and with authenticity about how they're using AI beyond the classroom, and that was powerful. Our leaders attended that session. Mr. Simon attended that session with us, and we followed up with an afternoon session with Dr. Frontier on meeting in the age of AI, again, really getting at the undercurrent of what's important to teaching and learning, again, and less so all the tools and add-ons, if you will. The feedback overall from the day was positive. I provided a sampling of the feedback underneath that paragraph. Alita, if you can just scroll down a little bit. The open field comments in large part articulated the connections to the work that we're engaged in the district. And really, what I'd like to emphasize is this really was the first formal opportunity that we had as a district to come together to explore, examine, and grapple with AI together as a district. AI is a polarizing topic. We know, we've talked about this. It has different urgencies at different grade levels for different content areas, and that's interwoven with people's convictions about the role of AI in education and the role of AI in beyond education and in the world around us. Feedback from the day was positive, but we recognize that we need to continue the conversation to provide the right leadership and guidance for students and staff, and we are committed to doing just that. We already have plans in place to bring together our leadership council, our AI teams, our peak cohort. We engage with Mr. Simon. I know Mr. Stefanowitz does on a regular basis, and so we're using the feedback from that day to plan forward very intentionally, very thoughtfully, because we want to move forward in a way that is supportive of our students and really focused in on learning and not using AI to replace thinking and learning, and that's how we're proceeding. As a wrap-up, I'd just like to thank our Director of Digital Learning and Innovation, Mr. Sabanowitz, and Ms. Candice McBrady, our Director of Math and Science, for their leadership and support in helping to plan this day. Our educators and school leaders who presented, their feedback was much more positive than our external presenters. Yay. And our students who participated in the student panel, and finally Mr. Kaiser and our student ambassadors. I think we had 20 plus student ambassadors who served as great escorts and tour guides throughout the day to help our Nashoba educators who are not familiar with the high school landscape how to navigate throughout the ins and outs of the building. So thank you for this opportunity to provide an update of the day, and we look forward to keeping the committee updated on our progress as it relates to teaching and learning and finding a way for us to address AI in a meaningful and thoughtful way to support teaching and learning and not replace it for sure.
Thanks so much for that, Laura. We are going to hold questions, if you don't mind, until the after our presentation for Masters Academy, and then we can open up questions for the entire superintendent's report, if that's okay. At this time, I'd like to invite our guests to come to the table and prepare for their presentation. And Alina, do you want to prepare material that we should pull up? Would it help to have the presentation projected?
No, we're not going to do a formal presentation for the board since you have the packet, and maybe I should just start by introducing myself a little. So my name's Andrew Williams. I'm the head of school at Masters Academy International. I've been in education all my life, 35 years. I was in the public school system for 20 years as a teacher, head of a school, and in central office as well. And so both my daughters are products of public schools, and they're doing exceptionally well. And my wife is a kindergarten teacher in our local public school where we still live, and we still support the board and the Morris Education Foundation. So I come from a family that prides itself on being big supporters of public school systems. About 10 years ago, 12 now, I moved into an opportunity to live and work abroad and start schools in Shenzhen, in Silicon Valley, in Sao Paulo, and I was really fortunate to also help start a school in New York City. And that's what brought me here today to speak in front of you about Masters. And we're in this journey where we are solely appreciative of the work of the superintendent. Laura, of course, has been instrumental in helping us navigate this situation that we like to go through, you as a partner, to get licensing. And we want to be seen as a neighbour, a good neighbour. We're hoping that there's a reciprocity where I know when talking to Kate that there's things that maybe we can help the district out, and vice versa. We're just solely appreciative of you helping us with this part of the process that we're going through together. So that's part of our presentation. Rather than read everything that the board have already had together, I'll introduce Rich, and then we'll open it out for questions rather than a presentation.
I'm Rich O'Dell, and I've been heading up this project as the managing director for MAI. Been involved in this for 8 years in trying to find an appropriate location in New England to open this institution. My background is 45 years of running private schools around the United States, having an educational consulting company that's worked with over 300 independent schools around the world, and most recently focused my efforts really on building institutions to better meet the needs of learners who have a particular passion in the area of sports. My personal background, I'm trained as a jazz trumpet player, so I'm about as far away from sport as you can get, except the reality that athletes relax with arts and artists relax with sport. And so that reality is what drives me to have wanted to create this institution, having built 2 other ones somewhat similar to it. If you're familiar with IMG Academy in Florida, that's an institution that I built out in 1999. I sold that entity in 2014 to the third party that had owned it from the time that I got engaged with it in 1999. I'm dating myself by saying that, I realize that. But then built out another one outside of Cleveland, Ohio, about 7 years ago, one that somebody had put $100 million into and had no idea how to have it make any money. And that's the place where I come in and help institutions find pathways to become financially stable. So with MAI, this was an opportunity, as I said, where we looked at a lot of different locations. We saw nothing that really worked until I walked through the doors of Bose. Because Bose had so much of what we needed. To say nothing for the fact that it had a full building of Herman Miller and Steelcase brand new furniture that Bose had purchased and not even taken the tags off of. And they needed to get rid of that property. We negotiated initially to acquire it, put in an offer, Bose accepted it, and then there was a desire to close much more quickly than what we had anticipated, and so we withdrew the offer. It's set for 2 years with no one having real interest in it. The realtor came back to us and said, "Would you be interested, Rich, in this again?" And I said, "Oh yes, but not for the same money." So we renegotiated the deal that worked for us. And now, in partnership with Cognita, Cognita is an educational group based in London, has been around for about 15 years, designed and developed by the Jacob family, richest family in Switzerland, who wanted to improve the quality of education across the planet. And they built this out with the idea that Cognita would be the umbrella that acquired other schools that either were in a position of struggling or ones that were doing well, and try to take that educational opportunity to more learners. They have not really invested in the United States other than to buy the York School on the Upper West Side of New York, which is a school, high school, only for children with language-based learning differences. Exceedingly needed school in New York City, doing exceedingly well. When they heard about what we were looking to create here, they took a significant interest in making themselves part of that, as part of their overall expansion. Which means that over the next probably 7 to 10 years, they will likely acquire or build between 10 and 15 new institutions around the United States. Not similar to what we're doing at MAI, but with opportunities for kids to focus in other areas of interest or specialization that are more in line with where professions are going to be 10 years from now. That's the model. That is who they have been, who they continue to be. And here they're making a very big investment. They are our majority shareholder. They have invested at this point $103 million in our renovation of this piece of property. I invite you all to come and see it, either now, in process, or on September 15th at 10 a.m. in the morning. The governor will cut the ribbon for the opening of this for 300 students, 200 boarders and 100 day students. The 200 boarders at this point are coming from 28 states and 13 foreign countries. That will only continue to increase. We're only halfway into the admissions process of the year. If we were to have all of the young people who have applied to come to us, enroll with us, we would be within probably 3 weeks of closing out admission for the fall. We have some sports that are very close to being sold out right now, meaning we're at our cap for them, and those people will be put on a wait list in anticipation of next year continuing to grow this operation, ultimately to about 700 students, of which 500 to 600 of those would be boarders. The other percentage would be more day students. A little bit different than what we initially presented to Cognita, which was a more heavily oriented day population than a boarding population. And principally because both the coaches that we have recruited, and our coaching slate is full now except for one coach. That's about 30 coaches in our program that are full-time employees of ours. Andy and his team have done a great job hiring our faculty. There are only 7 positions left out of both leadership and faculty positions, with faculty that have come from all over the country, from higher education, from prestigious New England, established independent schools, who are coming to us because of the different type of delivery that you have a little better understanding of from the material that we've shared with you. All of this to say that we are on the right path for what we are wanting to accomplish, which is designed to really help young people who have a passion in sport find an opportunity to pursue that at a higher level. But the second piece, which is unique to this one, it's not like I built out at IMG or Inspire, is the opportunity to participate as a non-playing sport major. Most young people come to one of these three schools because they were the best in their town, or they aspire to be the best. And they come into this environment and find that the competition is not at home, but the competition is right in front of them with 20 other young people who are also the best in our hometown. And they all come with the same passion and the same drive, but they all have a variety of challenges, from athletic to academic to social to other things that have not fulfilled who they are at this point in their life. And so what we've designed is a education opportunity on a platform that really works not only academically with 5 hours a day, 4 hours a day of their sports specialization, a whole personal self-development curriculum that's focused on a word or a phrase a week that's integrated into the academics and the sports. And then the fourth piece, which is the most unique one, which is this non-playing sport major. So if you come to us as somebody who is an aspiring athlete, but you recognize that the college world is not going to welcome you to a playing capacity, you can come to us in year 2 and major in sports medicine, sports psychology, sports marketing, sports management, and a variety of other sports that we will add. Those are all partnerships with universities that offer those majors now, but the majors that they offer actually don't give as much instruction as we will give to these young people as high school students. So the idea here is to better prepare these young people to have a seamless platform on which to live the first part of their life with some security that simply because you maybe got injured or you recognize you are not that good in the sport, that you still have an opportunity to live out the first part or maybe all of your life pursuing one of those other sport-related professions. It is where the parents have a great deal of interest in what we're doing because it's a security blanket. It's a security blanket that your child is going to get to live their dream rather than see the dream fade for some reason that is out of their control. So that's a summation of what we're here tonight to hopefully seek your approval from. And we appreciate, as Andy said, the support of the three towns in coming together with this. We will be an open campus in the context that we are about partnering in the community. We're about partnering in a number of ways. When one of us takes you on a tour of the campus, you'll hear us describe that out front of the dining area, which seats 375 people. In the summer, there will be a summer concert series, which is free to anybody who wants to come to it. Friday nights, we're going to do drive-in movie night for young children, showing movies for kids. All with the idea of wanting to open the doors for the community to not feel that we are somebody who is impeding on the progress, but supporting the progress and the development of the community. And so we seek your support to help us be as effective and successful as possible in that process. And we're happy to take questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation. It's great to meet both of you. We're happy you're here. It's an inspiring story. I wonder, so we're not going to be voting this evening, everyone, to complete the task that's set before us by statute. We will do that next time. It's an opportunity for you to ask any clarifying questions, even probing questions. Does anybody have anything they need more information on?
So, my understanding, you're a for-profit school, so that's not an area I'm particularly familiar with.
Right.
But in terms of accreditation, who accredits? I know, like, AZ doesn't offer accreditation to for-profit schools, and
So
I'm
the
unclear about NEAS.
The New England Association of Schools and Colleges is the art accreditation agency.
So you're in the process of getting
Yes,
accredited?
exactly. We actually just met with one of the senior members of the accreditation agency, George Edwards, and he's going to be our sponsor and guide through the accreditation process.
which takes 3 years
Yeah.
to fully complete.
We're in review right now.
I feel
Joyous time.
Yes.
Any other questions? Jillian?
Sort of building on Mr. Simon's point, since you're a for-profit school, and I heard you mention Cognita, and I understand is Cognita, when I was doing some research, had closed quite a few schools in the UK, and it seemed as though some students had really been disrupted in their education when Cognita made that decision for financial reasons.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what assurances the MAI students will have that their education is not disrupted if Cognita decides that this is not as financially advantageous as they imagined.
Part of, and probably both of us can answer it from different perspectives, but part of it is Cognita was at that point before shedding those schools. 120 schools with 120,000 students on 4 continents in 21 countries. Their growth and their development of an organization in particularly England did not come at the best time because of the taxation that was placed on all families as it pertained to private education. So the private education opportunity in England lost a lot of its affordability for families, and it was clear that the organization was not really in a position where they could recover because the number of kids electing private schools was not actually increasing, it was going down. And so rather than continue that process, there was a decision with the knowledge of those schools that there was likely the need to close with notice of about 1.5 years, and an opportunity to try to recover in that plan. For our purposes, the investment that they're making here obviously is a lot, for one, and their investment is not only at this point what they have done, but as we grow, we will continue to need more funding in order to build up. When you come to visit campus, you will only be shown half of the property, 156,000 square feet, because that's all we're developing right now. The other half of the property, which will accommodate an additional 300 boarders, is yet to be started. There are some other facilities we will build before that, but Cognita is in this for the long haul. I can assure you of that. The number 2 person in Cognita is on campus this week. And he has met with all of the team over the last 2 days, and I think everyone came away with that understanding and assurance that this is not a short haul for them. This is a long ride. To do and represent something in the U.S. that will be a good foundation on which to build their other growth and development, which would not be in this area. They will, when they grow in other parts of the country. Thanks for the question. Yes, sir.
Another question?
I was just going to say that thank you both for your presentation. I actually entered this review process with a kind of skeptical view, but having reviewed the very thorough documentation that you provided as part of this process, and you appear to have very rigorous processes and systems in place, so it looks like it's a very well-organized institution at this stage in the game, so congratulations to both of you. And with some assistance, limiting my scope to what our responsibility is, which is reviewing the curriculum. It does appear that you have a sufficient and appropriate curriculum, so have my support at this point.
Thank you. Thanks. We did have hair before we started this. No.
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
So I'm reviewing your curriculum, and it looks fantastic. It's really dynamic. It's high relevance, high interest, I'm sure. So I'm a high school teacher, and the way that we teach humanities is we teach world history with a focus on U.S. history. That's largely because we have to. My school tends to want to take a more global perspective, which I'm sure would appeal to your student body especially. I don't see in here, which is actually the one thing that is required by Massachusetts state law, and that is a focus on U.S. history, which I'm not necessarily, I am fine with that, but I think I'm doing my due diligence here just to see, will that be a part of the curriculum?
Yeah, it's 11th grade. That option would be part of the humanities arc of development from 9th grade to 12th grade. Of course, we've got to offer that because we have students who are coming from a variety of schools who may be on that path to graduation requirements that has to include the focus on US. But there's other options for humanities study, of course, beyond that.
Excellent. And then, unless somebody else wants to ask us, and ask the special education question. Do you want to ask it? No? Okay. I just want to understand, because Jackie's also into, with special education specialization, but can you speak a little bit about the services that you'll provide with regard to students who have either 504s or IEP plans?
Yeah, sure. So our strategy is based on a response to intervention model, the multi-tiered support system, which I'm sure you must be familiar with. I lived that when I was in the public school system. I was actually the director of special education services for some time. And so the multi-tiered support system, of course, will be focusing our energies and efforts on tier 2 supports. We've hired psychologists, 2 academic intervention specialists, a sports psychologist, and the teachers that we've hired, actually many of them have a background in either special education, believe it or not, or have been in public schools. Actually, not only did they come from private schools, I was going to make the point, but they come from public schools. So we'll actually use that multi-tiered support system process where from a guidance meeting, we would bring our teachers and deans together to discuss the needs of a child if they're obviously falling beyond the standards that we would hope. But I would also ask and consider that when you think of a response to intervention system, it's usually on a triangular. Over the years, I've understood that one of the ways to look at it is actually to think of it as more of a rhombus, where you're actually supporting both ends of the spectrum, where students have precocious needs and students who need intervention and support. So we'll be looking to support students at both ends of the continuum, actually. So through a guidance meeting, then from there we would determine what the actual intervention would be required for somebody who's got a 504 or an IEP. And actually just this week we went through a process of evaluating a student who had applied to us who needs some of the basic things that you would imagine: small group instruction, extra time on testing particularly, and as few distractions as possible. So we'll be accommodating students who are going to be able to match our services to. We're obviously going to be very careful with parents to say if they've got a need that falls into tier 3 and we can't support that need, we're going to be very upfront with our parents from the word go and say we actually don't have the services that you need to thrive here. We're willing to walk you through what we have available, but we're not just simply entering somebody because that it means that we would fill a seat. That is not our intention. So actually that student success team, what we call it, the equivalent of people, they were actually meeting tonight at 5:30, and they were talking through the process of we would go from a guidance meeting to then having somebody have an individual learning plan that we would then enact over, in spaces of 6 weeks, monitor them over 6 weeks, look for whether the intervention is having the desired effect, adjust and iterate as needed.
And for students in Massachusetts, if a Nashoba child was to go to Master's Academy, the home district is still responsible for some of that special education, correct?
When a private school is located within the boundaries of your school district, no matter what the private school is, yes, you would be responsible for transporting the student. So we don't have that scenario now, but in my past, I've since learned of a scenario of private schools. So, for instance, Walnut Hills Academy is in Natick. A resident who actually went there, yes, the school bus would pick up the student on their way to whatever school, we would drop off at Walnut Hills and then go on to the next school. So yes, we would provide transportation that way.
We have transport, but what about special education? Do we also have to provide testing, the reevaluation?
I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Manch.
Yes, so they would actually be under the proportionate share of the state regulations. So if they had a student enroll with them who needed testing, they could, if it's a Massachusetts student, you can go two ways. They can either come to this school district and request the testing, or the home school district, because they're going to have students outside of Massachusetts there as well. We would be obligated, because they're residing here in Nashoba, to do that testing. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions, everyone? I'd like to perhaps turn it to Kirk now and ask for a comment from him.
I want to thank Mr. Odell, Mr. Williams, for being here this evening. Andrew, it's good to see you in 3D form.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
We got a couple of occasions to visit with Rich over at the Masters Academy campus, and I have to say, we've walked away extremely impressed with the thought, with the planning, with the sense of the whole child in mind. We got wrapped up in educational pedagogy talk for a couple of hours, didn't we, Laura? And so this committee has a great benefit, and the great benefit that they have comes in the form of their assistant superintendent, Laura Friend, who you know is not going to put anybody in front of you that's not gone through a thorough review of all the requirements. And I know she's been working directly with Andrew on that program, and she's been giving me regular updates. So I would enthusiastically recommend to the committee that upon taking up a vote at the next meeting, that they vote in favor of Masters Academy International.
Well, you have a lot to think about, so we'll take this back up next time we're together. We thank both of you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Thanks so much.
It's the last time we see you. So.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, so we're going to now just ask the committee if there are any questions about the superintendent's report at large. There was a few things that were presented a while ago.
So I can't help but say something about the Paisley Path thing that I was fortunate to go to. Definitely think it was one of the best AI conferences I went to, let alone anything tied to Nashoba. So I really did appreciate that, and it's always fun seeing our educators as learners and how enthusiastic they were to dive into the topic, and just all the pleasant conversations in the hallways as I was sitting next to people. All that said, our students outshined everyone else. That student panel thing that got glossed over a little bit there, the keynote speaker of the conference was leading a focus group with them and asking them questions like, basically, do you cheat with AI? And all around the room on the outside were, I don't know, the superintendent and assistant superintendent and a bunch of their teachers, and they were really insightful and really impressive. So a shout out to them as well.
Thanks for going, Chandra. And thanks, Laura, for inviting the school committee, as always.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Any other questions about the superintendent's report? All right, so amazing work, guys. Lots of work always happening here at the Emerson building. So let's move the agenda now to the school choice presentation. Kirk has a recommendation for us not to be voted on until the next meeting, but here we go.
Okay, I should take a drink here.
Sure.
I got a lot of words to come. Thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, I'm bringing forward our recommendation for school choice. That will be heard remotely at our April 29th meeting. We will be having a school choice hearing. The hearing will not have the enrollment detail that I'm providing you tonight. It will just simply be the option of opening some school choice seats. So tonight's presentation, I'm going to do the regular exercise that we've done, is doing some basic enrollment analysis so that you can see the trends, and then talk about where our current enrollment looks and recommendation for next year.
Is that a beautified slide?
So, thank you for that reminder. So,
Speaking of
I
AI,
came out of the AI, and so I was doing my school choice presentation, and you guys know this presentation is is probably one of the least aesthetically pleasing presentations I give all year long. So when I was done with it, I'm like, okay, we're ready to go. And I saw beautify this slide at the bottom of it. So some of the slides are beautified. I'm going to be willing to bet you can figure out which ones. So, beginning with the title page. So a little bit about the process for analyzing future enrollment. It comes out of something called the School Attending Report. There's a slide at the very end of this presentation that has the links to the School Attending Report provided by DESE, as well as the enrollment analysis tool that I designed for our district. So we track and analyze those enrollment trends of students who attend within and outside of NRSD to get an understanding of, participation rates in the district. Next slide. So we file that report. We work on that report beginning January 1st. So it's January 1 data, which is critically important to the difference of the October 1st data. October 1 data measures students who walk through the doors of your school. School attending report is school-aged children who live in your town no matter what school they go to. And that's an important distinction to understand. So that report has to be completed and submitted to DESE by March 1st, which it has. And the data is collected by reaching out to other school systems. It's quite a free-for-all. It's very funny as we send our letters to the other school systems. They send their letters to us. It's like a big market exchange of data that goes on. And it's important to note that school choice students enrolled are not included in our town census data, of course. So the numbers that you see from school attending report don't include that. So as we look at the categories, these are the categories which we analyze for school choice. And in the past, I've talked about all of these categories. In an effort to be brief, I'm not going to go through every single category this evening. I think the most important category for us to look at is participation rates in our district from our residents. So when you look at the aggregate slide, this is a decade comparison of the total town regional enrollment. So the blue line on top, that's your census number. That is the number of school-aged children 5 to 17 that reside in our towns. The red line is the rate of participation in the regional school district in Nashoba. And you'll see parenthetically a percentage. That's not a percentage relative to the X or Y axis. It's a percentage of the total enrollment. So in FY17, 87.99% of the 3,572 students attended Nashoba schools. So if you look at this graph over time, you can see what I've been talking about to the committee for several years now. We've been in a period of declining enrollment. It's been a gradual declining enrollment. And we'll look at each town to look at that. You'll also see that in the last 5 years, the participation rate in the district has fluctuated only half of a percentage point. So students continue to participate over the last 5 years. Where you'll see the dip over the decade is in participation rates, you can see in fiscal year 20. So that was the year of, as we all know, the pandemic, and it impacted and changed some things. But I do have to say our participation rate, even with that, has only decreased 2.5 percentage points in that decade with that COVID adjustment in there. So we have remained relatively flat, really going all the way back to 2001, which in the data tables I have as well. So looking at each town, we'll look at the town of Bolton first. You can see that town of Bolton has had a decline in census data, and their participation rate continues to be between 88 and 89%. Moving into Lancaster, Lancaster has had flat enrollment while maintaining those participation rates over time. Stowe is the most dramatic. So when you look at Stowe, you can see that the decline in Stowe over these years has not necessarily been in participation rates. You can see that over the 10-year, a decline in the 10-year look. In the 5-year look, we've been level. But that really speaks to a decline in census data in Stowe. And that also connects back to Stowe's, the housing market in Stowe. There just hasn't been a lot of supply in Stowe over the past decade, really. People are staying in their homes. Lee and I have heard stories, we haven't validated it, but somebody had shared that Stowe had the highest median age in the state of Massachusetts of any town. I haven't found that validation. Central Mass. Yeah. So it just speaks to people who are buying their homes historically in Stowe, keep them. Mm-hmm. You know, so they're not regenerating is basically the story there. This is important to understand even outside of school choice because it explains what Mr. Mulcairn has been presenting all through the budget process about why those enrollment lines have now sort of gathered together where you see our district really is at this point a third. This further shows that. So the next slide, our largest draw outside of Nashoba is Minuteman. And so I looked at vocational tech enrollment trends and teased that out. We do have just a couple students, I believe, and 2 students, and maybe Ms. Friend, you can correct me on that, 1 or 2 students that attend Norfolk Aggie and that reside in Bolton, I believe. But anyway, it is essentially students attending Minuteman. I think there may even be 1 Assabet student as well. So as you can see, that enrollment at Minuteman has gone up significantly over the decade. Interestingly enough, they opened their building in FY19. And when they did, you can see the significant jump that happened there. And then over the past couple of years, you will see that there has been a decline. What I can share with you is looking at our Minuteman enrollment right now, extrapolating this to what was the percentage of, what was the number of 8th graders and how many of those 8th graders currently are enrolled at Minuteman. In seniors, that's 15.2%, juniors, 16.8%, sophomores, 14.46%, freshmen, 12.26%, and if all students who were accepted to date were to go to Minuteman next year, it would be 13.19%. So that just is some data to suggest that students in the past 2 years are choosing to go to stay in Nashoba Regional versus going for vocational tech when they go to their freshman year of high school. When I get to this point in the presentation, it always affords me a great opportunity, and that opportunity is to throw our support in the need for Chapter 74 schools in our district. They serve a great purpose for a large portion of our community in terms of what their needs are. And so we want Minuteman to have a healthy, vibrant program. We also want our students to choose education with us. And I think some of the things that we've done around developing the innovation pathways, the curriculum work that we're doing, and I am sure that the attractiveness of entering into a new environment of our high school in September of 27 is going to be very appealing to students as well. So the next page, you can see the charter school enrollment trends. And you can see there was a bit of a COVID bump that has settled post-COVID there. If we now move on to added district enrollment, added district enrollment is a little bit tricky. It just means a student that's receiving a public education in another Massachusetts public school, or they attend a private school for which the district pays the bill. So these are students that our towns are fiscally responsible for in added district enrollment trends. It includes school choice students that go to other towns, and special education. So special education added district students are included in this number as well. So you're always going to see some fluctuation based upon demand and need there. But this actually is a more stable percentage than one might anticipate given the size of our district, being a relatively small district. The next page I'd like to show you is the homeschooling trend. And you can see the COVID spike and the homeschooling trend that has since settled, and we are approximating what homeschooling looked like in our district relative to 10 years ago. And then you can also see the in-state private school trends that over the decade, those have actually declined across the district ever so slightly. So I am going to do a mid-presentation pause there before we get into the school choice recommendations to just ask the committee if they have any questions on that enrollment analysis.
Any questions on that?
We're getting good at this, okay.
Yeah, well,
I do have one question.
Yeah.
With the charter school enrollment trends, it looks like there's a big increase in Lancaster over the last few years. Well, the chart makes it look big. So it's like 1%. You know, but when you see a trend like that, does that generate any kind of questions on your end about
Not at all,
what's going
because
on?
the end number is so small,
Yeah.
it literally can be one
student.
One student.
1% of Lancaster students is.
Yes, because on average, our 8th grades are moving forward with approximately 80 students. So one student is going to change you over a percentage point.
Is this just 8th grade?
No, but annually. So I don't have the raw number in front of me, but if you just even extrapolate that out by 4 grades as an approximation, that the raw number is just so small.
Question, Sean.
Tying into something earlier, how are boarding school students counted in these numbers if we had a boarding school here?
How do boarding schools get, which slide are boarding schools on?
Oh, for students that we have in residential programs?
No,
Oh, they go, that's
do
part.
they count as residents?
Yeah, interestingly enough, in looking at that, we didn't have a number on out-of-state private this year. Now, what I will caution you also, this is like census data. We have to go collect, right? So you got to do the hunt down to get those things, or you have to track. If a student was with us and then went out of state, we track them until they leave public education, until they leave their education, graduate essentially. So our data office takes care of that.
And we're required to do that by child find, right? Or don't we have to know where every single kid in our district is going to school somewhere?
Yes. Yeah, that's part of the purpose of the school attending report process. So when somebody goes to a private school, our data office reaches out to the schools they were reported going to confirm their enrollment then. If they can't confirm their enrollment there, our office makes an attempt to reach the family to try to get them.
Did that answer your question, Chandra?
Believe so.
Okay. So like a Master's Academy student would be on the in-state private?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions about the data?
Like Jackie wants to say something.
Yeah.
Well, so I need to do more research before I say something. I think I was confused, I guess, in that if your residency is where you live, not where you go to school. Is that correct?
That's what I thought.
However, when you say, knowing the story of a student that attends a boarding school for skiing somewhere in New Hampshire, the parents live here.
Correct.
So if the student goes to the boarding school in New Hampshire, and let's say the parents decide, we're going to move to New Hampshire to be closer, we don't track them anymore.
Right.
So Master's Academy students won't be considered residents for our purposes?
Nope.
No.
That's correct.
Sharon.
And that's because Master's Academy students are private school students?
Correct.
who live somewhere
Well,
else.
but they
Somebody's
reside
checking
somewhere
them.
else.
So the-
But we have students that live on the RFK campuses that are considered residents.
That's a different scenario.
Right, because it's not.
No, that's way more complicated.
They are only considered our residents if the state is the parentis custodian for them.
All right, so let's keep going with the recommendation.
Okay, here we go.
I'm just trying to keep my eye on the clock here.
So,
To leave your children.
all right, so for the purpose of putting it out there in the ether for anyone who might be listening online, both of you out there, right? Important note, school choice is automatically open if the school district does not vote to close it by June 1st of each year. And I think I've found the language for the recommended motion that cleans that up a little bit. We'll see. Mr. Powell, I think, will
Task him.
yeah, he can task me with tuning the motion if needed. We can limit the number of students accepted, and the locations and grades will be assigned. If there's more applicants than seats in a given area, a lottery be conducted. Employees can enroll their students, but they're subject to the same rules as all. Once accepted, NRSD is obligated to educate that student up to graduation. Siblings of enrolled school choice students are given preference prior to the lottery for enrollment. So, the first slide that you have here is this is the school choice enrollment trends over the last 10 years. I think it paints pretty clearly when our school committee decided to change their approach of school choice. So as we were seeing a separation in enrollment, you can see that's beginning to close. And then you can also see in terms of the tuition trends, we are closing on that tuition gap. I will remind the committee that there are more impacts to the costs in there that go beyond the $5,000 per student that's mentioned in state statute, and it's been $5,000 for over 20 years. But there are costs that the district picks up in school choice can be billed back to the home district, and that's true for us too. We are charged back, and it's all flushed out through the school choice process that Assistant Superintendent Mulcairn has briefed us on previously. So moving into the next slide, this is the FY26. These are the seats that the committee opened are in the white columns, and the green are the students who are the number of students that filled those seats. What I would caution the committee to do is just say, okay, 27 plus last year's number. It's not that clean, because you would have to subtract out the seniors who graduated. You would also have to subtract out 8th graders who decided to go to a VOTEC or private school when they entered 9th grade, or even families that have moved out. So it's not just a clean calculation like that. So when you look at current total enrollment for FY26, you can see that we have 56 students in the doors. As we move forward with that, that is what is helping us close the gap. So, in managing enrollment recommendations, I will continue to recommend that we do not open school choice in grades kindergarten through grade 2. Those are students we're learning the most about. Those are the students that are developing very, very quickly, and so their needs and the way we staff our schools just need to be protected until we understand those elements better. So no more than 22 students per class to enroll in school choice students. You'll notice that's 2 less than what our enrollment cap is, and we do that to ensure if students move into our towns, there's always seats that don't take us over the 24 threshold, thus necessitating to add more staffing. And that methodology has worked so far. We don't want any more than 200 students in a grade level at the high school, or 260 students at any grade level, K to 8. The reason for that differential is because we typically have about 40 students that shift in the district from 8th grade to 9th grade when they enter high school. So we don't open for grade 3 for 5 if the enrollment is in 4 students of the class size floor as well. And that's because as we look at our enrollment, if we have enrollment dip below our floor, we want to have the ability to shift that position to maybe a higher needed space in the district if necessary. And we potentially have that scenario that I'll be pointing out here in a moment at Mary Rowlandson. And then we prioritize balancing the classrooms across the district as well. So as we come to the first location, the summary slide. This slide just represents the total seats in the district at each grade level. So looking at each location, for Nashoba Regional High School, you'll see currently in 8th grade we have 235 students. I've adjusted that from the tool. My tool would indicate our 5-year rolling average would indicate more of 43. But because we have our Minuteman numbers in already and a couple of identified private students as well, I think we have 31 students, I said earlier, that have accepted Minuteman. Typically what happens with that, by the way, is 1, 2, 3 students might say no thank you and then come back to us. We don't typically see that number go up. We see maybe knock down a student or 2. So I took the liberty of adjusting that to bring us to this number of projecting 208 students. That would be the 235 minus the 35. Now, what I want to point out to you at Nashoba Regional High School and Florence Sawyer School is the alter projections for the new development. And so that was provided in your meeting materials for you this week. And that study, while it typically happens at the beginning of a construction process, we didn't receive it until last month. And they've already started, folks have already started moving in there. They've had their first, we've got one family in the district that's moved in there. So you can read the methodology for that analysis, but what they are saying is 57 students over 13 grades is what you would look at. It's approximately 4 students per grade. Enrollment never comes in an even distribution, but for the purpose of this exercise, I use that at that divisor, the number 4, as a placeholder for ALTA in all the high school grades and all the Florence Sawyer grades as just sort of a placeholder, not knowing what's coming to us. Also, we do not anticipate this development to be filled up, fully populated in the next 12 months. It is a gradual process that will come. And so, but still, I think the most conservative approach for us to take is to just put that placeholder of 4 students per grade in there at the current time. It's not a perfect methodology. It's just the best one I could come up with for the purpose of school choice today. So you can see the only grade at the high school that would be above our 220 threshold would be grade 10. So I am recommending that we close grade 10 for school choice. Moving on to Florence Sawyer and looking at the numbers in Florence Sawyer, I'd recommend that we open, that we close all grades with the exception of grade 4 and grade 7. Moving into Mary Rowlandson, I would recommend that we close all grades with the exception of grade 3. And as a tangent, I want to bring your attention to kindergarten at Mary Rowlandson. As we voted our budget in March, we voted a budget where we needed 3 sections of K. As Murphy's Law would have it, we had a run of enrollment quite literally the week after that. We acquired, I think, 6 students in a matter of a week that took us to this number of 65. I'm pointing that out to the committee today to say it is highly probable at this point that we're going to be crossing into that threshold. We typically pick up 4 to 5 students in the summertime in the town of Lancaster, of which we will need to add a section of kindergarten to Mary Rowlandson. So that we're going to have to see how that flushes and plays. If that's the case, we'll certainly come back to the committee and let you know how we do that, because we will ensure that we stay within budget. A couple of mechanisms is as we're seeing some opportunities with our special education transportation, the work that we're doing there, as well as potential differentials from retirees, to look at the cost of that position. But that is something that we will just need to continue to monitor. All right, shifting now to Luther Burbank Middle School is recommending that we bring in students at grade 6 and 7. 1 second, please. I got to go back in my notes. And you will note that the reason why I think we do that, while we're not at 260, the total population of grade 8 next year will be 257 students. So now moving on to Center School, we can safely bring in 4 students at grade 3 and grade 4. And then looking at Hale Middle School, grades 6 and 7 as well. So after all of that, there are 2 motions to consider next week after the hearing. And let's see, Mr. Powell, if I pass the test on this. The first option would be move to withdraw from the school choice program for the 26-27 school year with the following exceptions to remain open, and then listing those exceptions. Or the second vote that you would have to take if you were to choose not to participate in school choice would be to move to withdrawal from the school choice program for the 25-26 school year due to enrollment and class size standards designated and notified. So I think at this point we can pause and take questions.
School year on number 2. You just got to fix the school year on number 2.
Oh. And that's a beautified slide as well.
So you'll have to go back and unbeautify it. Can you go through that last slide, maybe? The next slide on there?
Would you like me to do the final slide?
Yeah.
Okay, so pending an affirmative vote from the committee to keep school choice open based on the recommendation, applications would be available beginning May 4th. Ms. Masterson, along with Ms. Hannigan, have been working on the school choice page of our website to prepare for that, and they've done a nice job with that. Thank you very much. There's a deadline for submission, and that's Friday, May 22nd at 12 o'clock p.m. We will host the lottery on Tuesday in this room at May 26th at 11 a.m. We can continue to receive applications after the lottery deadline, but they will be awarded a seat if available on a first-come, first-served basis, and then we will not accept any applications after the close of school, which is June 18th, with the exception of Center School being the Monday afterward, of course.
Are the applications paper or electronic?
They are electronic, and we have shifted to a Google form application. So we took the form from last year. We've been able to do that. We tested it in our run. As you all saw in my communication before, we offered an opportunity to our families in district to indicate if they had a desire to shift schools within district, and I did receive a response. So I will reach out to that family and let them know our intentions.
Thanks, Kirk. Question?
Yes. I have a question about the high school choice recommendation. So I really like that chart that showed how we're trying to close the tuition gap between what we're paying on kids, sending them out of district, and what we're receiving. And I guess what I'm wondering is if we are on average losing 35 students per year between 8th and 9th grade, why don't we increase the number of students that we admit as freshmen in school choice?
Because I think
since our number is 208,
yeah,
and it could be 220.
So I will come back to a time when we did not open school choice, and what some of the concerns were about bringing too many in too fast, too quickly, both for in terms of cost and understanding what the impact of that would be. and move-in and move-outs over time. So we developed a methodology to be 4, and it's not to counteract the students that go to schools other than Nashoba when they go from 8th grade to 9th grade. It's because we identified in the budget that we were losing in the school choice column. So the problem we were trying to solve in the methodology was to address the loss in revenue relative to school choice out, school choice in. So that's why the committee took that vote at that time.
Right, but now we have more information, and I'm just saying, should we be reconsidering that number for freshman year? It's just a question. I think it came up, Scott maybe brought it up a year or 2 ago. And so it stuck with me, and I'm looking at the data, and I just wonder if that's something that we should.
So I'll piggyback on that really quick, and I think that there's logic there in that if a kid is going to jump high schools, it's in the 9th grade year.
Right.
So although like those you want to keep it well under 220 because there are freshman-specific classes that could get over-enrolled.
One thing I will say is that when we did our school choice last year, on the slide where you had last year's FY26 with the green, we did not host a lottery. So you can open it up to 12, doesn't mean 12 are going to sign up.
But freshman
Because
was closed.
Freshman was closed last year. That is a good
That's
point.
what I'm saying. I think that if
Freshman
I
was
have a
closed.
high school student, I'm not going to switch them as a senior.
Yeah.
But if I'm thinking of making a change, it would be for freshman year.
So as we went back on that, the year before that, we had 4 seats. There were 5 students. We actually ended up bringing 5 in because I came back to you later on the 5th student. And then the 2 years before that, we didn't have that threshold. So we certainly can open it up. Doesn't mean that we're going to get more.
Question?
So I always thought 3 was a magic number, but granted for you, 4 is a magic number. Because you basically have a lever. School choice is on, 4 students are allowed. School choice is off, 0 students are allowed. Why is it either 4 or 0? Or why is there no number between 0 and 4?
It just played out that way. Last year we did have some variation. So for instance, we had 41414 at Sawyer, 444 Hale. So the 4 comes out of the number of we said, okay, if we looked at, we average about 4 classrooms per grade level, and by those sorts, a student per class was sort of the conversation that we had that would be the appropriate number. So that's how the 4 came to be. And that's where
But you didn't see any grades where 3 or 2 or 1 made sense?
Yeah, we could.
I'm just, like I say, you would, in grades where you say school choice is open, it's 4. It's not.
Right, so and when you look at those, where it's open, it's because those numbers, the other numbers, the only place where you could potentially do that is in the 8th grade, because the ceiling is at 287. So the only place you could do that is, like Sawyer could potentially take 1, Hale could take 3, Burbank could take 3. Or no, Hale could only take 2, Burbank could take 3. So we could open school choice at 8th grade for 3 students, location to be determined not to exceed 88 students in the grade.
Is that how we've done it in prior years?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we could try to fine tune this like crazy, but the rate, at the end of the day, people are going to move in and out, and you're not going to get exactly even classroom sizes anyways. But so if you do get 4 at a grade level, you put 1 in each section.
So they indicate school, they indicate location and grade. So yes.
So the 4 coming in would never drop into Mrs. Smith's class together.
Or you wouldn't put 2 of them in Smith's class together.
No, that all depends. That depends on how the principal interacts with the family and the team and the needs of the students. So yes, they could end up in a class together. So no, it's not like we bucket you that way. You got to look at what the student brings to the table as well.
Any other questions? I just wanted to sort of build on what Amy said about opening up maybe potentially more spots for freshman year. I know in Lancaster we have, a lot of Sterling residents who live right on our border for whom Nashoba is closer than Wachusett. And I've had several of those families who know them on the school committee ask, do you know if Nashoba is going to open up school choice, they have entering freshman next year. And so I think there's like real interest, we have such a good reputation. I think it speaks well to our district that people are so interested in.
There's space to, based on the methodology that was developed, space to put 12 at the freshman level if that's the rule of the committee. I'll follow the rule of the committee on that.
I don't know about 12, but no. Maybe more than
we are going to lose some students.
Sure.
Well, I'm just thinking, in addition, the freshman year is a good time. It's a good time for kids who are switching because then they'll have their entire high school at the same school. It's also, though, in terms of our communities, we're bringing 3 communities together at that time. So to bring in more students from outside the district at that time is just blending more.
Right.
Less disruptive.
Yes.
It is already starting over.
Kirk, on the teal blue slide, which is lovely, it's your beautification, I think, 21, slide 21. I don't know if you mean, yeah. The total that goes across the top, that already, you were just on it, Anita.
Yeah.
Right above the high school slide.
I can't see any numbers on my.
So, yeah, the top row total is our enrollment April 1st.
And that includes kids who are already school choice?
Correct, because then when you add the school choice, you get the bottom row number. So in 3rd grade, our current enrollment is 225. If we actualized all 8 slots, we would be 233.
So here's some feedback just from a presentation standpoint. I think it might be useful to understand how many kids that grade already has at school choice. So next year, not now. Because that points to the culture issue that I've brought up a couple times. That if a grade, I think the current 8th grade might be heavier school choice already. And so if we're talking about increasing...
Take your power.
Yeah. My power? Yes, you may have my power. If the current 8th grade is already heavy school choice, and then we're talking about inflating it again for the upcoming 9th grade, then that might not be a great idea. I don't know.
Alita, can you go to the total enrollment of school choice students slide? There it is. You have it. So currently in 8th grade, there are 7 students who are enrolled in school choice.
That's kind of flat, but the 5th grade is 0. So that's current. So next year's 6th grade recommendation seems to me that wherever it would fit, that's where you could kind of add. That might be a nice thing to cross check on the teal slide so that I can see it blended.
Jackie jumping at the bit here.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just want to point out, I think that's true, the 8th to 9th grade transition. You also will have a subset of students who try something new and come back their sophomore year, or students who didn't do as well as they had hoped in their home school and then would elect for school choice.
So the conservative approach.
Yeah.
I think we should do more of a survey, because I would be in support of having more 9th grade school choice slots. So, I think we should all...
Would you guys like to see maybe a couple, build the 9th grade number up a little bit? Maybe by under 5? Yes. Raise your thumb if you like the 9th grade number to be a little bit higher.
Is this the card tracks?
Maybe a little bit higher. So, Kirk, maybe you could study it and bring back another recommendation.
I guess I'm just asking the committee at this point. Tell me the number you want.
4, maybe make it 8 for 9th grade.
That's even going to say 6.
It's 4.
Because right now it's 4.
Here's what I'll caution you on with 9th grade.
Yeah.
And that is, we still have, while we have the Minuteman enrollments, we still do have families who have indicated their interest in private school. There's acceptances that have to be. So we have a record on transcripts requested. So I have about 6-7 students right now in the, oh my goodness, did I do it? No, I didn't. You did. I did not. Oh, sorry, kids. I just, boy, it's getting late fast, isn't it? We do have 7 or 8 students, 7 or 6 who are in that category of transcripts requested. So we don't know what's going to happen there yet.
I really do want you to just maybe study it one more time, just give it another look over it, and when we come back.
I can just tell you,
I would support up to 10.
I would like
I would like, if that was the case, some feedback from the high school administrators through you about, as we're rolling out the new program of studies, and like, would there be any impact there? And I would want to be cautiously optimistic that it wouldn't have a significant impact, but.
That's why we landed on the 220 number 4 years ago. That was the number we said, we don't want to exceed it available because that could push us into adding faculty members in the department.
Or over.
We're at 208.
With the 4.
Well, the Center Health is correct. They get all 4 slots.
Right.
Teachers will tell you they don't know what to.
All right, everybody. So any other questions on the data?
No.
I'm actually going to cut this. Oh, Chandra, go ahead.
It's a quick question. On the chart with the red and blue line of receiving and sending school choice students.
4 more back.
Yeah, it talks about full-time equivalents. I'm just wondering what a fraction of a student is.
Mr. Mulcairn, will we get that data back? The fractions that we get back from the state?
Yep, so that would be students who aren't enrolled full year.
Okay.
That's easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a question I asked several meetings ago and got deferred. But when we have students leaving, I mean, if they're leaving to go to vocational school or they're leaving for other, reasons that are fairly obvious, fine. But if you've got students that are applying out to private schools or whatever, do we ever ask why they're moving away from the district? Do we survey them? Because I've had people approach me and say, we're thinking of maybe doing private. And why? And we have a dialogue about it. And then at the end of it, I usually feel like I'm able to say it. And a lot of it is, I'll just say it, is like, coming through K through 8, you are kind of in a baseline curriculum, and some parents have felt like their kids aren't really going to be challenged. And I've said to, several people, now that I sit on the school committee, I feel like once you get into the high school, and Amy, you said this to me as well, once you get into the high school, the world is your oyster, right? You have so many more options that are available, especially within Nashoba. So hang tight, see what it's all about, explore before you go out and try to think, if my kid's going to be challenged, we need to go to private school. So I'm just curious to know, and these are just people I know in the community, and that's not that many people. So it's just curious to know, why are people leaving? If it's not for an obvious reason.
Well, I think 2 things. So the answer to your question quickly is yes, we task Ms. Hannigan for researching and finding out what's a good tool for doing that. The second thing is, and I actually, when digging into Nashoba's enrollment numbers over time, I was stunned that our percentages in participation in private, in-state, out-of-state, collaboratives, vocational, over the past 26 years, it's remarkable how flat it is in terms of the percentages. So there hasn't been much shift or change over time in that. But we are working on developing a questionnaire. And that's something you can offer to people, doesn't mean they take it.
Sure. So we like that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
change.
All right, guys, so we're probably going to move the agenda now.
Wait, hold on, Madam Chair.
Oh, fine.
I would like to get a recommendation what the committee wants me to do, because my recommendation is for it. So if the committee has a different recommendation they want me to put forward, I need to know what it is.
Jackie?
I'm concerned about the man hours that were, and women hours.
What's your number?
Person hours. I think if there could be maybe a slight increase to appease the optimists. And then I think to consider, I just want to be conscientious of this analysis is based on a lot of time and careful consideration, and I understand where we're going in terms of filling those spots. But
I have an idea. how about we see how the lottery goes? And if the lottery comes back with 8 kids who want to get in on the freshman year, can you come back to us and ask us
We
to?
did that one year.
Maybe we just see what happens with the lottery, and then if the 9th grade is like, gangbusters, then maybe we can reassess them.
What I will share with you is that I showed you 35 in my analysis. I have 5 more that, if everything were to go well with their application processes to those various corners they want to go to, we'd be up to 40. So that's another 5. So we just played out that maximum scenario. And that's just what we know of April 1st.
Okay, so is everybody?
I have a question about your proposal. So the deadline is the 22nd, and then 4 days later, they're going to run the lottery.
Yep.
And then they're going to tell people you didn't make the lottery. When are we going to have an opportunity to weigh in that time?
We did it after the lottery was chosen.
After the lottery is chosen. So you can still, your school choice continue to open. So if there are students that missed out on the lottery, and we came back and said, okay, our school choice is still open. We had to decline 2 students from this at this grade level. Would you like to reconsider? There's a lot, you can do that.
The school committee can re-vote.
Because the vote that DESI requires you is to close it, not to open it.
Everybody okay with that? Is that okay? Yes, yes, yes. All right, cool. So everybody, let's move the agenda to the next item, and it's the main event, really. No, it's the policy first readings. I'm going to turn it over to the policy subcommittee to help us understand, and just give us a brief overview of these 3 policies, and then we'll give you some feedback.
Yep, so we are bringing forward, 3 policies that have been vigorously reviewed by the policy subcommittee. So when we were going through those 3, there is specific questions that were brought up by members of the policy subcommittee group, and I think if they come up, we can talk about them, but they're not major, and they're just more informative, specific to the food services, the food policy, the nutrition. So one of the things Jillian had brought up and we kind of talked through as a subcommittee was just having a better understanding of how does this currently look and how are we meeting the needs of our students. And so we're doing that really well. It's very clearly articulated on this new updated proposal for policy language. So if anybody has any specific questions about these 3 in particular, we're happy to field those. If not,
So why don't we start with EFBA? Yep. Anything on that one, school food and nutrition? Jackie,
there is not a red line. This is a brand new policy based on information provided by the legal rep and then model language by MASC, which we discussed as a group would be appropriate.
Excellent. Any questions on this one or feedback? Doesn't look like there's any. So let's move to the gifts and solicitations by staff. Seems like there's just a couple small changes and then one bigger one down below.
Yep. So this is just really our opportunity to update language for consistency as well as inclusion of the raffles and games of chance, which corresponds with updated legal refs, which are referenced.
So these were given to us by MASC, the red text. Any questions on this?
Yep.
Go for it, Scott.
So the limits in the gifts sections, the $50 and $150 for this statutory?
Yep, and those are part of our existing policy.
I wonder if it makes more sense to reference the statute rather than putting dollar amounts in, so that every time they change the statute, we don't have to change the policy.
It's in the legal references of the M.G.Ls, I believe.
I actually like the number, and here's the only reason why I say that. As teachers, the numbers ring for them, so they know, like, oops, I just got a gift for more than $50, as opposed to them, like, referencing statute. I actually like the number in there because the teachers need to know that.
And we're requiring them to read the policy handbook, so making it easier for them.
It is a
I don't
pain
want
in
them
the
to
neck,
click on things.
Any other questions on this one? All right, you guys are crushing it. Policy subcommittee. The next one is relations with parent boosters organizations.
Yep. And so this is actually just solidifying what's already in current practice, but cross-referencing that with the guidance that was provided by the Attorney General's office.
Excellent. Any questions on this one? All right, so I think that that's it for policy update, Jackie. But you guys do have some other things in the hopper, yeah?
We do. Do you want us to talk about that now or in the committee reports?
Committees, let's do it later in the subcommittee share. All right, everybody, so as always, that's the first reading. There's no real feedback for policy subcommittee, so we'll just put those in the consent agenda at the next meeting, and I expect that those will go forward, although if anything changes for you in the intervening time, just reach out to Jackie. So moving the agenda, we have no finance and operations report because those things were tucked into the consent agenda. We have no unfinished business, but for subcommittee report outs, Jackie, maybe you can just give us a quick update.
Yeah, so I think that the major policy that we will be continuing to review is the update to specifically, let me make sure I get this right. It's J. Clicking on all my tabs. So specific to the restraint and seclusion policies, and so we've been working and reviewing that in tandem with the Department of Students Services. Yeah. And then there's also two that we are just in review. We may bring them forward before the end of the year, but really the restraint policy is the priority.
Yeah, Mr. Manch has been working with the committee on that one.
Great. Any other subcommittee share-outs?
Building committee, probably.
Okay.
We have our building committee coming up next Thursday. This will be the meeting of which school building committee takes up the vote to recommend to the school committee to engage in a power purchase agreement contract with Select Energy. So stay tuned to that meeting. By virtue of the fact that that contract will be presented to that committee, I asked this committee to stay engaged in that meeting, but also review that contract as it will be on this table for action at our April 29th meeting.
Isn't it just, the contract's not going to be available, just you are going to be authorized to negotiate the contract, right?
No, we did that. Now it's the contract.
Oh, are you, so you're actually negotiating the contract right now? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we already did the authorization, so as a matter of fact, our attorney has already done the review. So without getting too far out of the scope of the agenda item, we're in that process and expect to get that. So that'll be in the meeting materials for the school building committee. We will also provide the courtesy of sending the contract directly to this committee in a blind CC email so as not to have any discussion or deliberation on it.
So the next school building committee meeting, guys, is April 16th. So you might want to mark your calendars or at least just watch the video or review the contract. I'll let you know if you have any questions about any of that. I can funnel it all to Kirk. Any other share-outs? The negotiation subcommittee continues to meet with our Unit A, so that continues to be underway. There's nothing to report. Just wanted to let you know that everything's going smoothly, and we hope to bring something to you, hopefully, in May. Okay. Items for next agenda. So obviously, the planning calendar is getting busy. Is there anything off the top of your heads that you guys would like to see there? Can you do that?
I don't know where to put this, but have you looked at our YouTube channel?
No.
Right now, watching our current meeting, it's like watching television on cable in the 1980s. I mean, the picture quality is
Yeah, the wide.
We're looking forward to the new high school. We're going to have a black box theater in which we host our meetings in.
So another year and change.
Yeah.
Yep. So as you guys can see, the planning calendar is up. There is the agenda. So we're looking at this column over here. So we have the school choice hearing that will happen at the front end of the 29th. And then we'll open the regular meeting, and then we'll go down the line there. We do have the, yeah.
I should ask Laura, for Masters Academy, should that be a standalone vote or is consent agenda standalone vote?
Okay.
All right, let's pull it into unfinished business.
So the superintendent summative evaluation process is going to get underway at the next meeting, and personnel is all over that. So get ready for that. And then anything that you guys want to add?
Just a quick question for the May 13th, the handbook. What are we doing with the handbook as new business? Are we voting on it or reviewing it?
That's always presented and reviewed, and then the vote is the next meeting.
It looks like it's on for May 27th.
The vote is the 27th. So they present, I mean, all of the handbooks are presented, only the high school one is required to be presented, but
Correct.
they share them all. The school councils are the ones who are in charge of managing and building that up.
We share the high school handbook. School improvement plans we're required to share, but we bring them all.
But are the school improvement plans up there as well? Oh, yeah.
Where are we at? Yeah.
Any other questions about the agenda? All right, if anything comes up, guys, just shoot me an email and I can manage to put things on. Alita, will you go quickly up to the parking lot just for a quick? Right, so these are things that are in the parking lot, just to jog your memory. Some of this stuff, like the last two there in the list, we're going to handle at the workshop in August for those of you who will be with us. But
We'll be providing grants and for the close out year.
when you say grant summary, do you mean it's just going to be a report that is shared?
Yeah, a summation of all the dollars that come to the district through the grant writing, entitlement grants versus competitive grants, that sort of thing.
Great. Okay.
The accountability presentation.
Accountability presentation.
That's coming back to the school improvement plans.
Oh.
It's often referred to as accountability.
Okay. Great.
But we also, in that, we already talked about the school accountability letters that went out earlier this year also, and we'll present them to the committee on. So that we may not have just taken that off the parking lot, actually.
Oh. Okay. So, again, guys, if there's anything that you want to put on this or add to the agenda, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move to adjourn. So, that's Jackie Eckert.
Yes.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it. Thanks, Kirk and team.
And